your college performance does not relate to the National Football League. It never does.
They played side by side with each other, and he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. That's an issue. That's a major issue.
It wasn't that it wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers.
Ever got to Texas.
It wasn't that it wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. It was Quinn Ewers' program, which Steve Sarkisian made very clear the entirety of the time that Arch Manning was in Austin. So for you to argue that because Ewers is a 7th-round pick, Arch Manning is not that good and not deserving of being first overall is asinine. It is wrong. It is incorrect.
He's going to be number 1 overall. My whole thing was I'm buying
you're doing your thing now where you double down on a take that is incorrect.
The best quarterback prospect to ever hit college football can't play.
He's
over
not
a 7th-round
There were 2 perfectly rated quarterback recruits in the history of the sport.
Quinn Ewers couldn't even play at Ohio State. He couldn't even play at Ohio State.
Quinn Ewers. Go look it up.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Hang in there, that's Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
We're going to get to Sepp Straka's win. I mean, Sepp putting together quite a year, really kind of turning inside the top 10 in the world golf rankings.
Is he now?
He's 9th in the world right now.
What?
So, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Another kind of step up, another win this year alongside the Amex he won earlier this year. Playing really good golf all season long. Feels like kind of like a lock for the Ryder Cup at this point. But before we get to that,
he wasn't even in like the top 20 in the Ryder Cup standings heading into the week. So I'm curious to see while you keep going. I'm going to look it up to see where he jumped to.
Well, and where I want to start before we get to the Sepp conversation is with the help of our good friends at Ahead. And this was kind of the topic du jour outside of the competition itself this week, which is we're going to call this one a look ahead and then maybe in parentheses and to the past, because ahead this week we played Philly Cricket, the Wissahickon course at Philly Cricket Club, an A.W. Tillinghast course that designed in the 1920s from the golden era of American golf course architecture, part of that Philly group of architects that did so many of America's most iconic works. So here's where we're going to start, Smylie. Ahead's clients want to use technology to deliver differentiating customer experiences, launch new digital products faster, and uncover massive efficiency gains through automation and modernization. Yet they're unable to progress fast enough. Ahead's purpose is to accelerate their progress and do so in a way that creates significant and sustainable business impact. Learn more at ahead.com. Here's why that's topical, Smylie. You heard talk about all the modernization that happens via our partners at Ahead. And Rory McIlroy came into this week, glowing comments about the course, the venue, the desire to play more of these. Mm-hmm. And where he kind of netted out on it is this course, I think, played about 7,100 yards. It's a par 70. He said if this course is about 500 yards longer, it'd be perfect. The sort of, the questions it would be posing of players, the type of shots you have to hit would be a better test of golf, right? The winning number, 16 under. I think it was maybe 53 guys finished under par of a field that was just shy of 70 after 3 guys withdrew. So maybe not the most grueling test. A lot of players played well here this week, and you had to go pretty deep into the teens to get the thing won. But at the same time, just passing the eye test, I felt like even watching that final group, Shane Lowry and Sepp Straka, they were getting penalized for short-sighted misses. I felt like the green complexes were, provided some intrigue. That we saw how that played out on the 18th hole with Shane, 3-putting and eventually making it a lot easier for Sepp to win the tournament. So, just what were your assessment of the way this course played this week for starters, and could it have played tougher if you didn't have all that rain that softened up the course at the beginning of the week?
Oh, totally. I mean, a golf course that isn't very long as you begin there. So you really do need rough, you need wind, you need firmness of the greens and some tricky hole locations to really challenge these guys. And so on Thursday, when we had softer conditions, 0 wind at all. And I thought hole locations that weren't really hiding quite as much as I thought they might. It was a shootout on Thursday. And if it would have stayed like that the rest of the week, it would have been, 30 under would have won. But Mother Nature helped a ton to get this score at 16 under for the end of the week. Friday was, it was somewhat scoreable for about 2 to 3 hours, but then the last like 2 hours of the guys that had to play that were in the back half of that wave, it was raining, it was cold, it was challenging for the most part because the rough, if you did hit in the rough, it was deep enough to where the rough was had a lot of moisture and on it to where it was difficult to get balls onto the green, especially some holes that had forced carries. And then Saturday was a perfect day, but it blew it was gusting up to 25 out there, and the greens kind of dried out just enough to where some holes became a little bit more challenging. And then you throw hole locations that are up on these, high pitches on these greens, scores again didn't go quite as low on Saturday. So Friday and Saturday kind of, if you shot 500, it was a really good day. And then Sunday, you saw some low scores, but for the most part, you started to hear the golf course start to firm up a little bit. So that was kind of what the hope was. How it played on Sunday is kind of how people wanted it to play the entire week. The rough was definitely a factor, just enough wind. And then I think heading into the week, I didn't realize that how much pitch was around these greens. The guys were going to have to worry about controlling their spin so much, because when you put hole locations in the back and you got a 120-yard shot, you're like, okay, I can't really hit a gap wedge because it's going to have too much spin on it. So I'm going to hit a pitching wedge. But the problem is if you hit that just a little bit too hard or fight it a little bit more through the wind, next thing you know, you're over the green. And that's the challenge with soft greens is trying to, take down the spin, but also make sure you're still hitting your number.
Very interesting. And do you feel like that holds true just for that course in general? Like, it's interesting to hear you talk about the way it played even when it was wet. Does this, if you get a full week of fast and firm, do you think that score looks different? Or do you think that the challenge posed by spin control with the way those greens are pitched and the wetness? Because I noticed this as well, watching like the early ESPN Plus coverage on Thursday and Friday morning I was expecting more approach shots to be hit right at the number, right at the pin, have them stop quickly because of how soft it was. But there were actually guys that were missing a little bit long, kind of almost skidding or hydroplaning off the back of greens, maybe kind of to the point that you're talking about now, having to hit more club. Yeah.
Everybody's taking more club, taking spin off the golf ball. I think that how they could have been a little bit more challenged, obviously, is if the greens were faster. If they were faster and firmer, that's where it would have been challenging. But if they were just firmer, I think it would have been easier, because then you could have just hit full wedges and not been worried about them spinning back. But when you throw in, like they were 12 on the stem, if they were closer to like 13, 14, because there was enough pitch out there to where it felt Augusta like, as with how much the greens were breaking. Rory was talking a little bit about it after an interview, was like, these greens break so much. There's enough pitch out there that it was similar to Augusta with how much break you had to play on some putts. Not this in every green, but this is some of the greens. It definitely caught your attention around, in that 10 feet area, because they put these hole locations up in the corners, which is hot. Most of the time, all these greens are funneling in this way. Like the sides of the greens are definitely always working towards the middle. So you, for the most part, are just always trying to figure out, all right, what's this going to do in that last foot? Because it's weird when you put it up to the corners, different than when you're putting towards the middle of the green.
Which holes do you come away from this week with favorite holes? I know we were all delighted to see, I believe it was the par 3 14th that played 95 yards on Sunday, and just seeing some of that character that we were all expecting to discover, seeing Philly cricket on TV for the first time. Which holes do you come away saying, man, that's a really good golf hole?
Well, I have a couple. My favorite hole that I spent a bunch of time on, because I was there on the weekend until my group got there, was the second hole.
Okay.
It's a short par 4. Players could either hit 4 or 5 iron off the tee. It was downwind on the weekend. And you saw a mixed bag of players weighing up, and then other players that were long enough be able to drive it up near the green and then try to chip it on. But it was cool to kind of see the strategy of how even long players or short players wanted to attack the hole, because the wedge shot was, I thought, pretty simple to the back pin. But then on Sunday, when they put the pin up front left and there wasn't as much wind, guys that were in that no man's land of like, gosh, can I carry the 330-yard bunker? And if I can, then it turns into a potential easy birdie if I can get it into the green side bunker. But I saw some 5s on that hole. I saw some easy 3s. It was just like a fun, like, option hole that I think Tillinghast gave you. You know, you could either take out the first fairway bunker, you could take a club that would take out maybe the next fairway bunker, and then you could have the option of, all right, let's try to push it up as close as we could to the green. But then you have a green that works away, so the first 2/3 of the green slopes front to back. So even if you hit it 40, 50 yards from the green, like Rory did in, I think this was his Friday round, he then dumps it in the front bunker.
Yes. I was watching it. It was just an unbelievably good drive to find a fairway that was, you know, you're
he was short-sided.
Yeah, and then with the, what was it, like 60 or 70 yards in?
Yeah, it was about 50. Yeah. About 50 yards. Yeah.
Man.
Still underdogs at home, on the road, and all of these games. It's time for people to start understanding it's a legitimate team that has a chance not only to win the series against Cleveland, but also maybe even go all the way to the NBA Finals.
I think a lot of the focus has been on why the Cavs have not played particularly well. A lot of that is due to injury, of course, but I think that's taking too much credit away from what the Pacers have done.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Malaysia Fawali, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. And now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I don't know what he was doing taking step-back threes at the end of that regulation when he's got bigs on him and he should be driving to the hole.
It's already bad enough that I'm playing with all these NBA and D1 studs that are unstoppable, and I'm the worst one there, and I can still ball with them. But if I start calling fouls, they'll revoke my privileges. Like, I man up when I play with them.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's talk Sepp Straka. We waited a long time to talk Sepp Straka, and as we noted off the top of the show, he is now 9th in the world, 14th in the Data Golf rankings, 2nd in the FedEx Cup standings. This is his 2nd win this season. Won the American Express, and of course the Truist Now. He also finished tied for 5th in the Arnold Palmer Invitational. He is playing very, very good golf this season, Smylie. All those stats reflect that. What are you most impressed by with Sepp this year? I mean, do you feel like there has been a material leap in one category of his game?
Well, that's a great question. As I was heading to find that currently on, I wanted to give you a fair answer there, but my instincts say that he's always been a very accurate driver of the golf ball. Always been a very good iron player. Not necessarily the longest player in the world. I mean, he's right around average, maybe a little below average. But he's typically on his good weeks, it's the Austrian microwave when it gets that putter. When that thing gets going, he hits so many fairways and that iron game's so solid, has those kind of that 15, 20 foot range. He just starts hooping, man. And he was hooping this week. He gained 2.32 strokes gained on the putting this week, which it had to be first in the field, if not very close to it. You go look at any of his wins. It's really like his putting in general. You'll go down the list there and you'll see it looks like a roulette board, black and red. It's like green, red. He's a very streaky putter, but when he is on, he is on.
Well, and he gained, holy smokes, I'm looking at this right now. He gained 2.32 strokes putting this week, which is, and again, if you're looking at his, to your exact point, there are 3 weeks that stand out with a green bar on Data Golf where the strokes gained putting is way higher than his baseline, and it's the Truist, it's Arnold Palmer Invitational, and it's the Amex, and those are his 3 best results of the season. 2 of those in signature events. That putter, it reminds me of like the old Zebra putter. Like it's so in a world of optimization and new tech, it's like he's got this old retro thing, but whatever works. It's funny.
Oh, all right. So what else do I love about Seb? His routine is, I think, the best routine on the PGA Tour when it comes to when he makes a decision and when he hits the golf shot. It's perfect. It is perfect. You know who has like the worst routine that is a PGA Tour card?
Who's that?
This guy. I have a PGA Tour card in my wallet, so I consider that to be a member.
That's fair.
Dude, it's incredible how quickly when he gets the club and he walks into the shot, it's club down, one look, club down, and then like the club's going back. It's so quick and fast. And it's not easy to do that, but like if you had a stopwatch every single time that he hit a shot from when he walked into the ball and when he actually hits the ball, it'll be within milliseconds every single time. The guy is just so routine, and I think it helps his rhythm a ton. I think he reminds me so much of an old school type of a player, like an Ernie Els, swings the golf club for being a very big guy with really good rhythm. A lot of big guys have to work really hard to get down to the golf ball, but it's a really, really efficient golf swing, swings his torso and so incredibly well. It's just a very repeatable golf swing that you got to give him and John Tillery so much credit. They're constantly working on the same things. They're working on their motor pattern to make sure that because anytime I ask how he's playing, he's like, I'm kind of just same old thing. Just have to keep on working on this motor pattern. And so it's been fun to watch him just continue to improve, because I go back to when he was on the Korn Ferry Tour, he was missing cuts. And all of a sudden he wins a Korn Ferry Tour event out of nowhere in Kansas City that basically saved from him to go back to going to Q School, going back to the mini tours, and gets to the PGA Tour and has never left, and is now a top 10 player in the world. And heading into the Ryder Cup, European Tour Ryder Cup rankings, he jumped up 15 spots this week. He was 20th on those rankings because I guess Amex didn't get any points. I guess, is that what we decided?
Well, I think it would have been a lower amount of points. And
okay.
Again, we could dive.
Still surprising, right?
There's a long document. Yeah, I guess that is a little surprising. We didn't get him a little higher, but.
But he's fifth. He's fifth now in the standings. Which, dude, we'll get into the Ryder Cup thing a lot throughout this year. But this European Ryder Cup team is going to be nasty, absolutely nasty.
Yeah, that is one. I cannot wait till we kind of get closer to as the picture crystallizes, because I go one of two ways on this. The first, which is you see the current constitution of that roster and the way those guys are playing, and you're like, we're cooked. Like, we're going to lose a home Ryder Cup. These guys are going to get done. But I also think that we were saying a version of that post Whistling Straits, and then that European team just sort of came together throughout the year with some young guys. Ludwig Oberg started the year teeing it up for Texas Tech and ended it, playing in a Ryder Cup. So it's like one of those things where I think give it some time. Let's see which Americans play well in the remaining 3 majors. Let's see if any young guys really kind of make a stamp. And then, because we have golly, Luke Clan is going to make his tour debut this year, once the NCAA championships are over for Florida State. So there's a lot of time left. We'll figure it out. But, of course, Europe looking good right now.
I got 14 players for you. I think it's going to come within these 14.
Okay.
Rory, Shane, Rahm, Rasmus Højgaard, Tyrrell Hatton, Sepp Straka, Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, Ludwig Oberg, Thomas Dietrich, Nikolai Højgaard, Victor Hovland, and David Puig. I mean, that is stupid good.
David Puig, dark horse. That would be quite a pick because he'd need one.
Oh, he would need one, but he's in and around. I mean, he's in the PGA this week. He's a bomber, dude. He absolutely hammers it. So Beth Page, gotta hammer it out there.
Gotta hammer it. There are 2 comments we got as replies to our Instagram story. So just a reminder, you can send in questions that way too, and Jackson will grab those and send them our way. Same sort of topic. I'll read you both. Lisk M. Charles, on Instagram, asks, how long till Sepp wins a major? And then Jackson Alexander 24 asks, could Sepp be a dark horse at any remaining majors? Where do you like him this year? Do you think he wins one this year, or do you think this is more of like a table set for what could happen in future years?
I think him and Hatton could be going to a playoff at Portrush.
Ooh, okay. I like that call.
Well, Sepp has played good at the last 2 Open Championships. He finished second at Liverpool, and he finished top 25 last year at Troon.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They've won 7 in a row. They've been dominant at Citi Field. Lindor's been insane. Pete Alonso's been raking.
Griffin Canning, David Peterson, those guys have pitched really, really well. And when you put it together with that lineup, especially like you said, Lindor's been great. They've got the makings of something very special in Queens.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Derek Carr has called it a career after 11 NFL seasons.
I think they knew before the draft that they had to make a move at this point. And by the way, Derek Carr did have a pretty good career. Made as many Pro Bowls as Eli Manning. So based on that, he should go to the Hall of Fame like Eli Manning. Well, Eli Manning does have a couple rings at that point, but always wanted to take a shot at Manning, who should not actually be in the Hall of Fame. Shouldn't be questioned an under 500 quarterback for his career. Stop the Manning.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
When you look at his other, Sepp missed the cut this year. He was a popular pick this year at the Masters, which was everybody's fault. Everybody kind of put the pressure on him. It's like, all right, Sepp's time to contend really at the Masters, and didn't play well. But he's got some top 25s. He finished the Masters last year 16th. PGA at Oak Hill, he finished 7th. But to your point, where does his game kind of fit? Quayle, he's a good enough iron player. He just doesn't hit it long enough. He would have to really putt it well next week to contend. I don't see him necessarily winning this week, I should say, at Quayle. Oakmont, I think because how straight he drives the golf ball, yes, I could see him playing well there, but the greens will be super firm. The golf course needs to be kind of firm for him to kind of get that extra rollout. I think Portrush would be where I'd go definitely there, then go work my way back to U.S. Open, then Quail.
Okay. We got Sep tabbed for Royal Portrush for the Open Championship. 2 wins this year already. Smylie, I use that to tee up discussion about Shane Lowry because there's obviously a lot of nerves, a lot of stress going into coming down the stretch trying to win a signature event. And in some ways, the story of his year is similar to Sep's in that he's played a lot of really good golf, consistently, except he just hasn't hoisted a trophy yet this year. What do you make of Shane's game? I know you said you like him at Royal Portrush. Obviously, he's won the Open Championship there before.
Talk about Shane, you said?
Yeah.
Well, I like him in Oakmont. He had like a 3-shot lead last time we were there, heading into the last day. So I think it's hard not to like Shane at Oakmont too. Dude, it's incredible. I thought he said something pretty interesting after one of his rounds. Just talking about like how much improvement he's had in his game and just how he's a more patient player. He's just really good, man. Shane's just a really, really good golfer. This was a perfect golf course for him because just like Sep, they're very similar, very, very similar. Both drive it very straight. I would say that Shane plays more shots than Sep. Sep kind of just plays the same shot for the most part. He'll change trajectories a little bit, but he just kind of plays the draw every single shot. Well, Shane will kind of move it around a little bit, but he'll go to the fade more than anything. That's kind of his go-to shot. But he'll bring it down. He can throw it up in the air. I think his iron game, he's benefited more by golf courses that play firmer so that he can get a little closer to the hole to where his iron game doesn't get quite as much up into the air, but he's so accurate that he can hit his numbers.
And I mean, if you look at his results this season, only 3 times has he finished outside the top 20. In Mr. Cup Farmers Insurance Open, he had a tied for 39th at the Genesis and a tied for 42nd at the Masters, but 2nd at the AT&T Pro-Am, 7th at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, tied for 8th at Valspar, and it's tied for 2nd at the Truist, and then a handful of other top 20 finishes.
Good, really, really good around the greens. I mean, we kind of know that with Shane, how good he is with a 60-degree chipping and bunkering. And then the work he's done with Stephen Sweeney on his putting it's really, really solid. It kind of let him down on Sunday, of course, with that 3-putt on 18.
What do you make of that? Like, I mean, because
the greens will chewed up, man.
Decide what you need to make, like whether you need to really try to make a birdie or.
It was a tough putt. The guys were. I thought Jim and Trevor kind of set it up nicely for the people that weren't watching all day to kind of talk about how tricky that little hole location was. It was a very unassuming front pin. Like, it didn't look difficult, but players were kind of struggling with the speed and under reading the putts there. And he knew he couldn't leave it short, hammers it by. But we kept on seeing some worm cams over the last like 5 or 6 holes with those lead groups. And me walking on those greens on Sunday too, they were soft, and guys that were wearing metals, the things were pretty chewed up. And you could see that with some of the worm cams. And I think it kind of got into maybe Shane's had a little bit. I know these guys can tap it down, but you're the last group of the day. Maybe that had a little bit of an impact too.
Is it, and you think partially on that, it's like when you get rain and they get soft and then it immediately dries.
Guys are wearing metals, man.
Chewed,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they're wearing metals too. So that'll chew them up.
Guys really still wear, like, what percentage of the field do you think was wearing metal spikes?
20.
Really?
Yeah, that seems about right. Maybe 25.
And the studs, we're not talking about like a metal like the screw-in thing, like a stud. Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just so interesting to me.
I got a bunch of metal shoes upstairs that I'll never wear again.
I was gonna say, do you ever break them out for fun?
What size shoe are you?
I'm an 11 or 11 and a half.
Okay.
What are you?
15. I'm a 10. I love that you didn't even take the bait.
No, without a doubt. I was just throwing you an alley-oop. I was gonna see where you did.
Sports knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Still underdogs at home, on the road, and all of these games. It's time for people to start understanding it's a legitimate team that has a chance not only to win the series against Cleveland, but also maybe even go all the way to the NBA Finals.
I think a lot of the focus has been on why the Cavs have not played particularly well. A lot of that is due to injury, of course, but I think that's taking too much credit away from what the Pacers have done.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Derek Carr has called it a career after 11 NFL seasons.
I think they knew before the draft that they had to make a move at this point. And by the way, Derek Carr did have a pretty good career, made as many Pro Bowls as Eli Manning. So based on that, he should go to the Hall of Fame like Eli Manning. Well, Eli Manning does have a couple rings at that point, but always wanted to take a shot at Manning, who should not actually be in the Hall of Fame. Shouldn't be questioned an under 500 quarterback for his career. Stop the man.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
In that same vein, talking about a player who's been really consistent, who's had like really good finishes, that like sneaky, like we know Shane has played well this year, but I guess until you were just read out the results, you wouldn't have known how well and how consistent. Tommy Fleetwood, go look at his results this year.
Dude,
five of his eight starts this year have been in signature events. So this guy does not deal with anything other than signature events. And he's finished top 25. And I think just about every single event he has played in this year, he's had now 2 top 5s, I think, in signature events. One at Hilton Head and then one a backdoor really top 5 this week at up at the Truist.
So I'm just gonna fudge it a little bit for Tommy, and this starts worldwide. And he has not missed a cut this season, and he's finished top 20 or tied for 21st or better in every single start except a tie for 62nd at the Valero Texas Open.
That was a weird week too. That was a bad weather week. We'll give him a top 25 just because the weirdness.
tied for 5th the Genesis, tied for 7th the RBC Heritage, tied for 4th this week the Truist. His is a strange one because it's one of those ones where it truly feels backdoor every week, where he does something to kind of put himself out of position, or makes a string of odd short missed putts. I felt like was maybe the story a little bit this week, or at least the parts of the broadcast that I saw. But then you look at the leaderboard at the end of the week, and that's another respectable finish. Could he break through this week or maybe next week? And he's just feels like he's on the cusp of it. What would you, if you're in Tommy's camp and you're suggesting a thing to work on or a way to kind of get over that hump? Is there something specific you'd say?
Oh man, it's a good question. Because every week we have to talk about how he hasn't won on the PGA Tour, but we know he's capable of winning. He's won plenty of times on the TP World Tour, right? Tommy, to me, doesn't ever get the lead. He's always chasing. That to me would be the mindset, is how can I find a way to get the lead in a golf tournament? How often have we seen Tommy with a lead, right?
You're exactly right. I'm trying.
He's always on the board, but he never really ever has the lead.
Well, I'm trying to remember, like it might have been Royal Liverpool. Did he ever hold the lead there when Harman eventually won? Remember he was in and around at maybe the second or third round.
He may have had the lead,
like tied for lead maybe.
But
that's the last time I can remember.
He putted so poorly.
Yeah.
He striped it. Oh, did he stripe it? And just wasn't making anything.
And it's maybe not exactly the same as Seth, but again, if you're looking at the strokes gain data, all of his good finishes are the green bars moving way to the right, and then the ones where he's missing cuts or playing poorly, it's a really bad putting performance. It's just hard.
Jackson,
it feels like
Jackson say the RBC Canadian. That sounds right.
Yeah, that's right.
Him and Nick Taylor.
Well, that was even further
I don't remember
back that was further back than Royal Liverpool, I think.
It was the same year.
2 years ago. It would have been a couple months before.
Yeah,
because that was a playoff, and then it was he contended later that year.
So watching him play a bunch, he doesn't hit it very long. It's very straight, a beautiful golf swing, and the putter is to me the biggest issue is that it's very, very hot and cold.
And Gary chimes in with it feels like a good point where his Thursday scoring maybe being an issue, and that theory holds if you're saying if you don't score well on Thursday, and he subsequently says Tommy with Keith Mitchell Thursday scoring, imagine that's a monster right there, a ball striking monster.
Well, Tommy would be if Tommy was a player that had the lead going into the last round of a major or the weekend of a major, he's a player that you would like a lot because he's so consistent, so solid, hits so many fairways and greens that you'll have to come and beat him. I think with him he's had plenty of top fives, top tens, and it's because he's so consistent and solid. But maybe just his length and his ability to maybe not make or have quite as much of an advantage to be able to go out and shoot that really, really low one to go out and win a tournament on a Sunday. But it's not like he hasn't shot plenty of Sunday 65s, 64s. He has, but just not when he's in that final pairing.
There are four more. About a week ago, we looked at 6 names and where they kind of were relative to the upcoming PGA Championship. 4 of those guys played this week at the Truist, and I think it's worth kind of playing forward their results this week to that second major of the year. The 4 I want to talk about are Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, and Jordan Spieth this week. So let's start with JT, who ends up kind of in a way backdooring a tie for second place with Shane via Shane's 3-putt on the 18th green. But I mean, this is a guy that we saw win at the Heritage. We've seen him win once since the last major. The putter just seems to look better and better every week. He missed sort of an inexplicable short one towards the end of this round that really would have given him solo second at 15 under, and maybe a chance to put some pressure on Seth for a playoff. Stated JT's game heading to a place where he's already won a PGA Championship.
Oh, man. He's in a great spot.
Yeah.
Dude, his iron game was so freaking good and so fun to watch. He was hitting it pin high. He was hitting those feels. It was such a good course for him. I'm so surprised that the putter kind of went a little bit ice cold on him there at the end. But golly, his ability just to spin off of a golf ball on a course like that was fun to watch. And he was driving it from when I was watching so good on Sunday. What didn't have the cut, I thought Trevor made a really good point that he was maybe trying to play too much of a fade, trying to like kind of hit shots into the fairway. And that was a good observation by Trevor for sure. But the ball striking, it's there. The putter has been incredible this year in its spots for sure. I mean, he's top 20 in putting overall. But it's a big, big week for him in the fact that we know it's a good golf course for him. We know he's in form. And he needs to go out in a major championship. And it's been a long time since he's been in the hunt. Like since he's like shown up and had JT B stuff at a major. It's been fairly mediocre for him. I mean, you can go find the last time he's played well in a major. It's probably Southern Hills. Yeah, the last one was when he won.
Yeah.
Let's do that exercise real quick.
I'll pull it up while you're talking.
He finished 8th in 2024. This would have been at was that Oak Hill? No, where was last year? That's
wow.
all right.
How are we forgetting where?
Help me out here.
Valhalla. We're there.
Finished 8th there.
That was a home game though.
Other than that,
that ridiculous chip in, that was fantastic.
Okay, yeah. Let's do it. All right, so he finished first at the PGA at Southern Hills, and since then he went 37th, 53rd, cut, 65th, cut, 8th cut, 31st, 36th. That's not JT at a major type of golf. So this is a big week in that he is in form. It's a golf course he's won at a major at. I think he's a lock at this point to be on the Ryder Cup team. He's going to be on that team. So he's basically playing with house money at this point to me. And gosh, it would be surprising if he didn't play well.
Yeah, man, I loved JT this week at a course where classic course, anyone who has ability to kind of express some artistry will get rewarded. Then you add in the weather elements where if it gets soft, you're probably gonna need to shoot a low score. JT is very capable of doing that, and he's right there at the finish. With kind of
you got first pick, dude, this week and one and done, and I think you got a tough first pick.
Well, I have an embarrassment of options, which is nice. I also got to look back and see who I've unsuccessfully burned and one and done.
I mean, you'll be taking some form of either Scotty, Xander, JT, Bryson, or Rahm, right?
Yeah. That's. I mean, I think it's a tough decision right now for me, and this is interesting too because this kind of segues into the next player we're going to discuss, Rory McIlroy, who finished tied for 7th this week at 10 under, and. I would have thought for sure, given his run of form, he would have been the odds-on favorite, and the odds at least at one point had moved in that favor. But we're back to now. Scotty's going off at plus 400 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Rory at plus 450.
Your college performance does not relate to the National Football League. It never does.
They played side by side with each other, and he wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. That's an issue. That's a major issue.
It wasn't that it wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers.
Ever got to Texas.
It wasn't that it wasn't as good as Quinn Ewers. It was Quinn Ewers' program, which Steve Sarkisian made very clear the entirety of the time that Arch Manning was in Austin. So for you to argue that because Ewers is a 7th-round pick, Arch Manning is not that good and not deserving of being first overall is asinine. It is wrong. It is incorrect.
I told you he's going to be number 1 overall. My whole thing was I'm buying
you're doing your thing now where you double down on a take that is incorrect.
The best quarterback prospect to ever hit college football can't play.
He's not so. There were 2 perfectly rated quarterback recruits in the history of the sport.
Quinn Ewers couldn't even play at Ohio State. He couldn't even play at Ohio State.
Quinn Ewers. Go look it up.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
I would have thought for sure, given his run of form, he would have been the odds-on favorite, and the odds at least at one point had moved in that favor. But we're back to now. Scotty's going off at plus 400 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Rory at plus 450, which is interesting to me because as we talked about last week, Scotty has only ever played Quail Hollow, at least on a PGA Tour, Major Tour context, in the President's Cup. Never played an individual event here. And you kind of led off this discussion by saying it's not like there's a lot to figure out about this course. It's kind of all right there in front of you. But I think to me, the course history for Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas is a big factor. I mean, is it for you with Rory, would you place him above Scotty in your own personal odds making, given he's played so well at this place and now he's freed up having completed his career Grand Slam?
It's right even odds for me. I would probably lean Scotty right now.
Really?
Although it's just hard to win. History shows it's very difficult to win back-to-back majors. That's why I'll lean Scotty a little bit. He's a little more rested, but I think this week was a good week for him. Talking about Rory at Philly, in the fact that he knows he's got to go work on his ball striking a little bit. I was out there with him all week, pretty much saw him play just about every hole, it felt like, and he was a little bit off at times. And I think he talks a little bit how Houston, for instance, this year, a very wide open golf course, that he kind of struggled with picking certain lines off of tees and struggled to hit fairways. He struggled to hit fairways this week, and Quail, of course, is a little bit more tree line, kind of it's shaped a little bit better, and he drives it better, hits more fairways there than a place that maybe you can't really pick targets quite as well. So look for him to try to improve a little bit on his driving at Quail. But then at times when he had to hit the mid to long iron shot, which was not a ton this week, I felt like he didn't quite have the kind of that hold shot. He was hitting really, really nice, like knockdown iron shots, which was something he struggled with for years, right? With his ball striking, but that side of his game was really good. So when he does have wedges next week, I won't feel bad about that. He just seemed like his mid to long iron game kind of had the lefts going a little bit, was maybe a little bit underneath it. So I think he'll probably work a little bit on his ball striking on Tuesday and Wednesday in the lead up before this, knowing that it was a little bit off, and that at Quail, you those you got to be really on with those middle to long irons.
Our next guy on the list, Xander Schauffele, this week finishes tied for 11th, one shot behind Rory at 9 under. We talked about the section of the schedule which Xander picked to come back from the injury that set him back at the beginning of this year. So let's throw out the tied for 40th at the API. Let's throw out the 72nd at the Players. Going from Bay Hill to TPC Sawgrass, two unforgiving venues if you're trying to ease back into things. He's finished tied for 12th at the Valspar, tied for 8th at the Masters, tied for 18th at the RBC Heritage, and tied for 11th at the Truist. All top 20 finishes. I mean, I'm feeling very, very positive if I'm in Xander's camp, and I'm trying to kind of ramp back up into high-level, competitive golf while missing a big chunk of the year that all these other guys use to get back up to speed, sitting out with that rib injury. From what you saw of Xander, any concerns related to health or form, or is this a guy that is right there in that top tier group of guys who could win at Quail Hollow?
Well, he just has to have everything come together. I think it's simple as that. The results, good to see that he's, kind of working his way near the top 10 of the leaderboard, kind of how you just read out his last 4 starts. We have talked about his putting this year and how that's been down, but he gained 1 stroke on the green this week, which I think is a positive step. He's had 4 weeks in a row where he's finally in the positive with the putter. We knew that was going to eventually come back to the middle ground to where he's an upper echelon putter on the PGA Tour, one of the elite putters. The iron game's been really good this year. The distance off the tee, 20 yards compared to the field average. That's how much he was gaining as far as distance and yards goes last week at the Truist. So all the things that we just said. All right, so he's going to drive it far enough at Quail. Mm-hmm. He's going to have a distinct advantage there. The iron game has been really good at points this season. Around the green, of course, has always been pretty solid there. Putter's been down, but it's been up. So really, the only concern that you have coming into the week is, can he put 72 holes together? I think you feel really good that he'll give you 60. Will he give those 12 holes? Is he able to salvage the momentum in major championships that you have to have? Guy that's won twice, 2 majors last year. I look for Xander to have a really good week this week.
Last guy that we want to talk about here, the story that many are rooting for. Can we get 2 career Grand Slams completed in the same year? It would be pretty wild. Jordan Spieth this week at Philly Cricket finishes tied for 34th at 4 under. I know we talked a lot about just his run of form this year, the way he, in a similar fashion as Xander, kind of got right back in the swing of things post-injury, post-surgery on his wrist for Jordan, and the games looked really, really good and really sharp. Do you see this? What does this finish represent to you? Is it sort of like kind of running out of steam at the end of a long run of golf, or just that last final tune-up weeks we can kind of go out on a high note before I assume he's gonna rest post Quail Hollow, post PGA Championship, given how much golf he's played?
Yeah, I think Jordan's he's swinging it good enough to be able to contend. I think the belief just has to be there, just to take the hands off the steering wheel and just try not to overwork yourself this week getting ready. The golf swing is there. It's going to be about him going out and just trusting it and just knowing that, hey, my stuff is there. Let's go try to literally just not think about it quite as much. I think his brain has been turned on for quite some time, in his way working back to this golf swing that he's been chasing. He says it is video-wise is as close to where it was back in 2017 and some of the other older videos that he's been chasing. So it's starting to match up on camera. But I think at times he kind of gets in that mode of, is it quite there? And like, will 1 or 2 bad swings kind of derail the confidence to where he can't put that aside and then just go play the next shot? I think if Jordan's able to take the hands off the steering wheel a little bit this week and just go trust that it's there, I think that is how Jordan plays his best golf this week.
Still underdogs at home, on the road, and all of these games. It's time for people to start understanding it's a legitimate team that has a chance not only to win the series against Cleveland, but also maybe even go all the way to the NBA Finals.
I think a lot of the focus has been on why the Cavs have not played particularly well. A lot of that is due to injury, of course, but I think that's taking too much credit away from what the Pacers have done.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Malaysia Fawali, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. And now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I don't know what he was doing taking step-back threes at the end of that regulation when he's got bigs on him and he should be driving to the hole.
It's already bad enough that I'm playing with all these NBA and D1 studs that are unstoppable, and I'm the worst one there, and I can still ball with them. But if I start calling fouls, they'll revoke my privileges. Like, I man up when I play with them.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all. It's
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
We have a listener / viewer question on the way out. And if there are any others you guys want to get in before we wrap the show, because we're near the very end, Liz Bervin on X says, what do you think of Xander's menu for the PGA? And I'll say I had not seen this. I guess it just got released a few hours ago. There is a menu. I'm going to attempt to share it for you if I can do that, okay? And we're going to look at it together. This is an image I sourced from golf.com. So the Champions Dinner, his appetizers were starting with a smoked goat cheese dates with pistachio and prosciutto.
Clams Casino Shooters. That's what I had the other day. Those things are unreal.
Clams Casino Shooters, pickled watermelon with feta and jalapeno, steak and blue cheese crostini.
Yeah, I don't like blue cheese. No thanks.
The main course is okay. Let's review the appetizers. Let's do this one thing at a time. So you're a fan of the Clam Casino Shooters?
Oh, I think it's a fantastic app list.
Okay,
it's in a good spot. I would maybe do. Hey, can we do a little ranch instead of the blue cheese?
Yeah, that's. I'm also not a blue cheese guy. It's also kind of high end appetizers. I mean, I'm sure they're delicious, but maybe something for the commoners. Maybe something a little blue collar there, Xander. Main course: Wagyu New York strip with blackened jumbo shrimp. Blue cheese, more blue cheese in there, gremolata, and frizzled onions. What's a frizzled onion? Do you know what a frizzled onion is?
I don't know. I think it's like when it's humid outside, they just put the onions out and they just frizzle.
I haven't the slightest clue what a frizzled onion is. But they're serving that with the Wagyu New York strip and then whipped sweet potato, bourbon bone marrow reduction. I'm sure it's fantastic, Smylie. I just don't know what 3 of the side accoutrements. Does that kind of drive you nuts sometimes where you order some food and you know it's going to be good? They're like, the ingredients all look good, but the thing they're talking about for the preparation, you're like, I don't have no clue what they're going to put in front of me when I order this thing.
I just, again, no blue cheese and everything else. Give me extra frizzled onions if you don't mind.
Okay. All right. I'd like to try a frizzled onion. Maybe we can track one down this week in Charlotte. Dessert is going to be a banana split with salted vanilla gelato, Luxardo whipped cream. Golly, I'm really getting put on the spot with all these things. What is that? Bruleed banana, crushed peanuts, rum sauce, chocolate dipped wafer, and then a strawberry shortcake with sweet biscuit, vanilla bean whipped cream, Chambord syrup, and fresh strawberries. I feel like I said all those things wrong. I don't know. But it's, again, sounds very fancy. Like, this to me feels like a very high-end
I'd be excited about that menu. Yeah. So 9 out of 10. It would have been a 10 out of 10 if no blue cheese, it would have been 10 out of 10.
So it was an 8-1 for the cheesesteak in Philly. It was a 9-1 for the pizza. An 8-8 for the cheesesteak in Philly, a 9-1 for the Angelo's Pizza, and it's a 9 out of 10 for Sanders PGA menu.
Yeah.
Smylie the food raider.
Yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff across the board. Thank you for
the questions. Cigars and a humidifier, I think, is also a gift he's giving. I don't know if you saw that too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I was just looking at the menu itself, but I think
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a big cigar guy.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I've got a little something for you on that front. I'm gonna bring you a little box of cigars to the PGA. We had a little friend of the show send some stuff in. So right. Jackson, who will be accompanying us, this is a good little preview for we will be in Charlotte. We got a lot of cool stuff planned for the week of the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. Jackson says tune in on Wednesday as we will be live streaming a frizzled onion review. Jax, you bring the frizzled onions. I have no clue where I'm meant to source those, but yeah, excited. We're gonna have a preview show dropping Wednesday, full PGA preview like we do for all the majors, and then we're gonna have our daily journals on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, right after play concludes as usual. And then stay tuned on our Sunday plan. We're going to try to do something different, something fun for the end of the PGA Championship and see if that works out. It's a little bit of a live stream, incorporate the viewers into the production of that show. So we appreciate y'all watching and listening. Smylie, I'll give you the platform for final thoughts as always before we get ready to head to Charlotte.
Just planes, trains, and automobiles this week, to and fro. Looking forward to Quail. The Thursday through Sunday weather looked pretty good last time I looked, and I think I'm looking forward to the preview. But gosh, it's hard not to see one of those 5 guys win this week, whether it be Rory, John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas, Bryson DeChambeau. It's a Fab 5 right now.
It's a good looking board. It's the first time in a long time I can remember where, there are a lot of compelling cases to be made for about 5 or 6 guys at the top of the board who all go win this week. So fired up for that. We're looking forward to talking to you very soon, and I appreciate you watching and listening.